All eyes were on NASCAR's rising star, Chase Elliott, as he made his long-awaited comeback from a broken leg at Martinsville Speedway. However, when the checkered flag flew and the dust settled, a disappointed Chase Elliott finished 10th, leaving fans and analysts alike wondering what went wrong. The other Hendrick Motorsports driver, on the other hand, won his first race in Martinsville. So what does Chase Elliott think about his comeback? Why couldn't he give his all on the track? Stay tuned to NASCAR Zone for a deeper dive into today's video. But before we dive into that, do subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Chase Elliott returned to racing this weekend at Martinsville Speedway, and he only had one goal in mind: to win.
Means the car's rotated and ready to get back on the throttle much sooner than Chad Staten was.
After breaking his leg in a skiing accident in Colorado, the Hendrick Motorsports driver missed the previous 6 races in the Cup Series. This put him so far behind in the standings that winning a race is his only realistic hope of joining the NASCAR playoffs. Elliott got back on the track in his number 9 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, and after 400 hard-fought runs around the 526 mile paperclip in Virginia, he finished 10th. This was a good sign for his return to the track. Elliott's race got off to a rocky start, which is discouraging despite the fact that it was reassuring to hear that one of the most successful drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series held up well in his first race back from injury. He set the record straight by stating that, contrary to what many people believed, the 27-year-old was not taking it easy in the early stages of the competition. Elliott's crew chief Alan Gustafson continued to make improvements throughout the race, and by the time they got to the final lap, they were able to salvage a solid finish, despite the fact that the number 9 car was not even close to being a genuine contender before the race. During the post-race interview, Elliott stated, "Like I said, to get a top 10, I thought that was something to be proud of, especially with how badly we ran all day. I mean, shit, we were barely hanging on to the lead lap. Probably deserved to take a turn down there after being there for such a long period. That made me feel very proud. Good fight, and a way to finish strongly." Elliott couldn't be happier with his 10th place finish at Martinsville.
Not great, but I felt about as I thought I would feel. I think probably more just out of shape from sitting around for 6 weeks, so it's, these...
Especially considering how far off his vehicle was during the race, and the fact that this was his first race back after being sidelined with an injury. Chase Elliott made his first appearance in a race since the season's second event, which took place on February 26 at Auto Club Speedway, and was his first race back on the track after a layoff of 6 races. As a result of Elliott's comeback, there was a significant increase in the number of people watching NASCAR. More spectators turned in to see the number 9 driver compete. Austin Konensky, a journalist for Sportsdog, posted the numbers on his Twitter profile, which demonstrate a significant rise in viewership compared to the prior year for the Martinsville race. The 10th race of the season, which took place in Ridgeway, Virginia, stood out with a larger audience than the previous 9 races of the season, which all showed a decline in numbers in comparison to 2022. Although viewership was down for the first 2 races of the season in which Elliott competed, the gap of 1 month between those races and his return contributed to an increase in expectation for his return. Elliott's comeback drew in a greater audience once the 27-year-old driver eventually declared that he will be making his return to Martinsville. Chase Elliott was forced to miss the previous 6 races of the Cup Series due to a leg injury he sustained in a freak accident while snowboarding in Colorado. Now, in order for him to advance to the next round of the NASCAR playoffs, he needs to win a race. With only 76 points to his name, the driver for Hendrick Motorsports is currently ranked 31st in the Cup Series standings, 226 points behind the leader Christopher Bell of Joe Gibbs Racing. Elliott stated, "We're in a position where we have to win, or at least that's how I've been viewing it. You miss a few weeks and you're basically forced to win." Elliott has been granted a waiver that will allow him to continue competing for the Cup Championship, despite the fact that his injury did not occur while he was racing. "My leg's stiff, my knee's stiff, but I don't hurt or anything like that. I'm about where I thought it would be." Elliott added about his race, "I feel pretty good, just about what I expected, so that was a good thing. Definitely a tough race, probably more, because I've been sitting on the couch for 6 weeks, more so than my leg." Chase Elliott's season will now begin in earnest as he will hope to build on the momentum from the NOCO 400. Now let's talk about another driver of Hendrick Motorsports who got his first victory at Martinsville Speedway. For Kyle Larson, the Martinsville Speedway has proven to be a challenging racing surface during the course of his career. At the 526-mile track, the 2021 champion has had to work hard for everything they've earned. The driver of the number 5 Hendrick Cars.com Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 has put in a lot of work to improve his performance at the Virginia track, especially considering the elimination race that will take place there in the round of 8 in the playoffs. All of Larson's hard work, including the hours he spent running air racing for this track and trying to get better, made his win on Sunday even more satisfying and sweet. When asked how meaningful he feels this triumph to be, Larson responded by saying, "When you can accomplish something that you don't see possible, when you do accomplish it, it moves up the ladder pretty high. This is a win that means a lot to me. I've worked very hard to get better here. The whole last lap, I was crying. I've heard Cliff was teared up too, because he is so strong physically and mentally. This feels really special. It means a lot to hear that. Everyone has a lot to gain from this win here today." During the first 300 laps of the race, Larson spent most of the day near the back of the top 10. Cliff Daniels was the crew chief, and he made 2 important decisions that helped his driver win the race. The first was to keep Larson out of the race at lap 304, when there was the 4th red. Daniels brought the car down pit road on lap 293 when the light was green, but he chose to stay out and move up the track. The call put Larson in 3rd place, and then Chu's rule gave him the chance to start again on lap 313 on the front row next to Chase Briscoe. The number 5 Chevy ran 2nd for the next 31 laps. At lap 344, which was the last time the race was stopped, Daniels told Larson to come in for 2 right side tires. The number 5 Hendrick Cars.com pit team did a quick stop, so their driver was the first to leave the pit road. Larson still had to go around Joey Logano, Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who all stayed in the race. Using his new tires, Larson drove up to the 2nd place and then passed Logano to take the lead for good with 30 laps to go. Larson said, "We didn't win the day at all. We were never even in the top 5 until the last run of the race. Just a great job by my team. They did a great job all day on pit road, made great calls about strategy, and had some good restarts at the end." Jeff Andrews, the president and general manager of the team, was surprised by how Larson and Daniels kept going even when it didn't look like it was their day. Andrews said, "The thing that stands out to me is how Cliff and Kyle really put the whole day together. I just want to say that I'm proud of how both of them kept their heads in the game all day long. They raced all day and stayed in it the whole time." Larson has had trouble at Martinsville all through his Cup Series career. Before joining Hendrick Motorsports for the 2021 season, he only had 1 top 5 finish, 2 top 10 finishes, and 35 laps led in 12 races. Larson has won a race, finished in the top 5 3 times, and led 175 laps at the paperclip-shaped track in the number 5 Hendrick Cars.com Chevrolet. Larson said, "I think there are a lot of things I've done in my career that I've been able to do because of my talent, but there's also a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. I've probably worked harder on Martinsville in the last 7 or so years than I ever have before, but now you have the data to look at, study, and then apply to yourself." Daniels has seen how hard Larson has worked as his crew chief since 2021. He has seen how hard he works at racing, how his driving style has changed, and how he always wants to get better. Daniels said, "He has been very open to any changes he has had to make on his end. It's kind of a back and forth about what he can do better and differently, and what we can do better and differently with the car. I would say the work that goes on in the background. What I'm most proud of is the work I did to get here today. You saw at the end of the race when our vehicle was excellent. and he knew he had a shot. He did a wonderful job to get through some of those guys, get to Joey Logano, have a clean race for the victory, and lay down some really good laps to finish out the day. So that is for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us in the comments what you think about the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see more of our videos on NASCAR updates. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.